So I'm back to Ivy House again. Got a pairs match this time, so it's a 2-day event. So on the Monday, bank holiday, and today on the Tuesday, the 28th of December 2021. So basically, one section, well, there's two sections on Heron, and then there's two sections on the canal, one on Kingfisher and then one on Moorhead. And then what you do then is rotate. Now, Jason Crump's my partner. We originally planned to go to Acorn Fishery, but then they done a pairs match here, so obviously both of us are local to Ivy House, so we decided to come here instead, which was undoubtedly a good move for both of us. Jason drew the pegs. He's drawn me probably one of the best pegs in Europe, peg 9 on Heron, which is an awesome winter peg. It really is. Believe it or not, I probably caught 75% of my fish on the feeder, little pellet feeder, 15 gram Preston pellet feeder, and 25% of my fish on the pole at 16 meters. Jace is drawn peg 40 on Kingfisher. Now, Kingfisher yesterday did fish really, 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 really tough. Just in case you didn't get that, it was really tough. Chris Timms has won the section on peg 37. So fair play to him. He's out caught a few fish dobbing bread, then he's caught some fish on pellets in the corner. And then Steve Brown next to him on 38 is come second. So fair play. There was Kingfisher. I'm probably not the best person to speak to about Kingfisher, to be honest with you. So if you want advice on Kingfisher, then probably not the best angler to tell you what to do there, really. At the moment, in my opinion, Magoo, John Morgan's probably arguably one of the best anglers there, and he just dobs. And obviously there's more to it than just dobbing. He dobs bread, maggots, and sometimes even pellets, so he just doesn't feed anything. And normally when he does catch fish, they're just so much bigger than people feeding like micros and catching little stocky carp like Jace just caught there. I find it very difficult to do. And then sometimes I think it just works in Magoo's favour, because obviously some of these big fish have seen it all before, and then maybe just go into his peg because there's just no bait there. So no bait there, no danger. So, you know, you only need a small run of fish, and fair play, you can be right up there, especially if it's like, say, 40, 50 pound winning sections, or even 60 pound winning the lake. Then, you know, Magoo is more than, well, a lot of anglers are more than capable of doing that. It's just having the discipline not to feed, which I find almost impossible to do. So if you don't know Ivy House, and this is the first time you've ever watched like any of my videos, then hello. But please don't like think, oh my gosh, them pegs are ridiculously close together. It's just because they're like facing different directions, so obviously they're not the ideal pegs to catch on a top kit down the edge, because otherwise you will be sword fighting if I fish to the left and Andy Taylor fish to the right. But obviously they point in different directions, so therefore you're actually fishing quite far apart. If you look at the white post where my hand is winding in, that's peg 10 post. Then if you look in front of me, slightly to my right, there's number 9 post. So obviously there's a lot of room. So yeah, I don't want people thinking that, oh my god, Ivy House is got unbelievably tight pegging. Not that anyone's ever said that, but just in case anyone thinks that, believe me, it's well thought out. As you can see, I'm just catching on a pellet feeder. Just caught a real nice F1. I think I just showed Andy the freaking tail on it. And some of the F1s in Heron have got absolutely enormous tails. So like beautiful F1 fantail fish. Pellet feeder was probably, or a little method feeder was arguably the best method on the day. Pardon the pun, the method feeder, pellet method feeder was the best method on the day. And just sitting and waiting. A few lads do cast it around, so when the fish back off, they've cast in different areas and like sort of chase them around. I was quite lucky I didn't need to do that. I didn't cast tight because it's really shallow against the far bank, so I probably casted about maybe 1.5 meters, maybe 2 meters off, and then obviously I had somewhere to go if they did back off. So here's the weights if you want to pause it. So that was day one. Mark Rogers and Dwayne were doing best. So day two, Jace has done the draw again, and fair play, this lad's got a good drawing arm. He's drawn me peg 28 on Moran. Spot on, really. 36 arguably might have been more of a favourable area, but you're right on the very end, as in it's right against the bank. Sometimes when Andy pegs it, he pegs 35 and 36 is not in. I think when that happens, I think obviously 35s is a much better end peg. So even though, you know, people might say that 36 is out and out flyer, I think it's better when it's 35. So, you know, then I got Dwayne on 27, myself on 28, so I'm not moaning. I think this lake is reasonably fair. The ends can be more favourable, but there's loads of silvers in that, so you ever come here like pleasure fishing or just come here like fishing a match, and Andy does do a silver prize on all his matches, like on the Tuesday affordables, and the Saturday opens is normally on the canal, so he normally does a silver ball. So more, and they're definitely worth targeting, and if you're lucky you could win both, especially on this lake. Ryan Ship does really good weights of silvers on this lake, so they're worth targeting. So with that being said, even though today there's no silver ball, as you can see, I've fed to my right with some ground bait. It's 6 sections out of the way. Then I'm going to drip pellets at 5 meters, which hopefully catch everything, skimmers and little carp. And then I'm going to toss pot, pepper pot, one of the Guru pots, just going to feed micros and fish and expander over the top, just on a John Walker 4x10. Got a 4x12, and they've even got an half a grammer just in case it was really solid and with the wind and that. But to be honest with you, I didn't need that rig. I did catch a couple of fish on it, but it was too positive, and the fish wasn't. They weren't that stupid, if that makes sense. I was pretty lucky. I'm pretty sure I caught straight away, to be honest. So just tapped in some pellets. There was a few fish moving around before the match started, so I had a feeling it was going to fish all right. Before we even started, I said I felt that the canals were going to fish a lot better today. Would it have been so mild? And the only thing that was going to mess it up a little bit was obviously, unfortunately, the wind. So peg's 40.5 meters wide. Far bank's probably about 2.5 foot, maybe 3 foot. So sometimes in the summer it can be a little bit of a nightmare because it's a tiny bit too deep, so sometimes they do come up in the water, so you've got to think how you feed it and stuff, or just try and catch shallow, or like I try and do, just keep on the deck and fish half a gram rigs with 3/8 hook lamps, which do look a bit hideous, but they do work. Just fished a 014 mainline, just fished an 010 bottom, so nothing fancy or anything, just fished a Guru pellet hook, size 20, which I do really like them hooks, to be honest. The points normally are very good, considering it's such a reasonably fine wire hook. So there is a few bigger fish in this lake as well, so there is a few like odd rogue sort of like 8-10 pound fish. I don't think any was caught today. I think there's a few sort of like 4 or 5 pounders caught. So that's my first fish today, which is about a pound mirror. So happy days. And to be honest with you, I don't feel I need to show like the whole video. I didn't catch in the deeper water, which was really annoying, but I didn't really focus a lot of attention on it, which I should have, and I didn't. Especially as like the first sort of 2.5 hours were really good, and then it started to peter away, and then last hour and a half I only actually had 6 pounds. I thought I'd blown it, to be honest with you. I thought Dwayne next to me had beat me, and it turns out I was very lucky. I beat him by 2 ounces, so I had 48 pound 2 ounce, and he had 48 pound, so very lucky. So Jace is on 21 on Heron. The wind was horrendous. I walked up to give him some expanders, which I've been using, been catching quite a lot of fish on. But I did say to him, you got to fish your own match. So I didn't, obviously give him a little bit of advice. But at the end of the day, Jace is more than capable of catching loads of fish. And it turns out he caught better on maggots, which we did talk about before. Like I said, like maybe maggots might be better today because you can lay a few inches on the deck and they just tend to just nail it better when it's like conditions like we got now. If you fish pellets over depth, in my experience, it can actually be carnage. You just end up foul looking everything, which is a nightmare. So, I said to him about maybe just feeding a few micras and a few like dead maggots and just fishing dead maggots over depth, just fishing a bigger rig and a few inches over depth. But it turned out he caught quite well on pinkies and maggots. So, yeah, fair play to him. Again, he was a little bit lucky on the scale side. He had £17.8. Chris Timms had £17.4. So, and like I said earlier, that I was lucky as well. But beating Dwayne by 2 ounces, obviously that give us a valuable 2 extra points. Peg 21, for you that don't know it, I fished it quite a few times. And you may have seen some of the videos I've already done. It does shallow up lovely. About sort of 15 meters it starts to come up. And peg 20, it comes up even sooner. So they can be really, really good winter pegs because the fish just seem to sit up on that shelf. But the issue today is like Stu's on 20 today. And obviously my mate, my partner, Jace, fishing partner, whatchamacallit, is on 21. The wind was horrendous. And the same with the guys on like 11, 10, 9, 8. Fishing a pole was pretty much almost impossible. So Jace has done really well to fish a pole in that wind. Martin Rogers has won the lake off peg 8. He's had £44. He's fished a little pellet feeder. I think pretty sure he said he fished a pellet feeder or a little method feeder and a 6mm banded pellet. So fair play to him. He's won the lake and won the section. Pete Bennett, aka Post, is on 9. He's had £36, I believe, so he was second. All the weights are at the end of the video, so all the results, so you can see for yourself. And then Jace had £17.8, and then Chris Timms had £17.4. So yeah, happy days. So as you can see, the wind is not good. The microphones on the GoPro that this has been filmed on's in a hard case. So obviously the microphone's covered, so it's probably a good thing, to be honest with you. I'll probably have to turn the sound down off the video because the wind would have been horrific. So I'm not sure how he's keeping this pole still, to be honest. Ex-army boy, I guess. Big muscles. Sometimes I find with herring though, it's a bit of an awkward one. Sometimes the fish they just come in mass, and you can catch like one a chuck, and then they just disappear, and it doesn't matter seem to what you do, you just can't catch. And sometimes you just got to be really patient, do something else like chuck a feeder or fish somewhere else, and just basically just wait for them to come back or wait for them to start feeding again. What you don't want to do, and I've seen a few anglers do it, is like start potting in big balls of bait, like ground bait or half a pot of pellets. And believe me, I've done that loads over the years beforehand, feeding big pots of bait thinking, they'll come over it and settle over it. But you don't want to do that. And then sometimes these fish in winter, they just feed when they want to feed. So in other words, for whatever reason, time of day or whatever, they just decide, no, I'm not going to feed now. And then what you don't want to do is pot in a load of bait and just destroy your peg, because when they do start to feed, you won't catch because you've already done the damage, if that makes sense. So a lot of times when I fish on this lake, especially on herring, don't even get the big pot out. Sometimes I feed like little nuggets of ground bait and stuff, it can kick the peg off, not denying that for 1 second. And in the summer, obviously slopping ground bait and feeding loads more bait is can be key. But obviously in the winter, try not to feed too much, basically, in my opinion. That's my advice I give to you. The fish seem to swim together as well, as in, you can't just single out F1s or just single out carp. You seem to catch a mixture of fish on all the pegs normally, to be honest. So I've just caught steady away, to be honest with you. Like I said earlier in the video, first sort of 2.5 hours was very good. Getting steady bites and stuff, just fishing expander pellets. And then it did begin to get a bit iffy. The last hour and a half was a little bit frustrating. Like I say, I only put £6 in the net because I put the fish in the other net and didn't even have a silver net. I chucked a couple of roach back, which could have proved really costly because obviously it was so tight between me and Dwayne. That would have broke my heart if I'd have lost by 2 ounces, because then 3 roach probably would have gone maybe 5 ounce. So yeah, they were excellent fish. Anyway, caught them on pellets. Looking back, I think maybe when it began to maybe slightly slow down, maybe I should have come off that line. I did feed other lines and stuff, and I don't know, I just couldn't. I tried to chase them up around the far bank and stuff, and it just didn't seem to really happen. People did slow down a little bit, I did notice. I don't know, maybe I'm looking into it too much, but I felt, I was chatting to Jace after the match, and I said maybe I've taken too many away from the shoal and sort of spooked him and made him move, or maybe I'm looking into it too much. But maybe I could have had a maggot line on the far bank somewhere else out the way, especially when the wind died. Maybe I could have got my extension on, put 16 meters and gone more to my right against the reeds. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but sometimes I think you need to reflect on stuff, even if I have done quite well today, but I still want to up my game. I still want to do better for next time. So I definitely wanted to make sure I was a bit more disciplined, feeding my line to my right. So maybe I should have been loose feeding maggots over my 6 section line. So I built up the swim. I did tap pellets in, so basically sometimes I would ship out to obviously 14.5 meters where I'm fishing now, but what I do is I'll stop at 5 joints and just tap in a few pellets. So I did drip in a bit of bait, so it wasn't like I didn't feed anything there, but I couldn't make that 5 meter line work in front of me. Maybe dragonfish over the top wasn't good. Maybe they spooked in that, because maybe the water's a little bit more clearer than what we give credit for. But Alan Moran caught well off his peg skimmers down the middle on pellets, so he struggled yesterday to catch against the far bank, and I think he come second in the section, I think, yesterday, and he's had like 28 pounder silvers, so fair play to him. So like I say, there is a lot of silvers in this lake, especially Moran, and well, all the lakes but Heron's got a few chub in it, but there's never a silver pool on Heron. So Heron is just F1s and carp, whereas all the other lakes are Willow, Match Lake, Kingfisher, and Moran has a lot of silvers in it, so you can do decent weights to them, as I said before. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. We were lucky. We come third overall, me and Jace in the pairs. 2 Dixes were second. So father and son, and Dwayne and Martin won it. So they won it quite convincingly. They had 6 points. The Dixes had 7 points, and we had 9 points. So there's all the weights and stuff. So if you want to rewind and pause it, then you can see all the results. Take care. I'll catch you soon. Bye.